Welcome, dear listeners. You're gagging for our punditgames.co.uk question. Do check out the Ultimate Football Quiz board game. It's great for Christmas presents. It's great for birthday presents. It's great just for a Sunday afternoon, few beers with the boys or girls to test out who does and who doesn't know their football. So today's question ahead of this edition of Achtung Millwall is English national team question. Known for his managerial success, winning the league in Spain and Holland, as well as taking the English national side to the semi-finals of the 1990 World Cup. Italia 90, dear listeners. This inside forward was selected for the 1962 World Cup as a player, but injury ruled him out. He played in a game against the Soviet Union, as was 1958, England 2, Soviet Union 2. Teammates included Don Howe, Tommy Banks, Billy Wright, Tom Finney, Johnny Haynes and Mr. X. More known, of course, for the semi-finals of the 1990 World Cup as manager. You got to get this one, dear listeners. You have to get this one. Do check out at the end of the show for the answer if you haven't got it already, though. punditgames.co.uk.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
It was a dark and stormy night, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung Millwall. My name is Nick Hart. Welcome to the number one Millwall podcast. Yes, it's wild and windy and wet and rainy out there. I've only just got in the ground. Sitting in traffic coming out of the Rotherham tunnel, around the Jamaica Road. Bloody hell, things we do for Millwall after a very, very drab, disappointing, I thought, 3-0 loss at home to Leeds just a couple of days ago, Sunday. Here we are again. I must be mad. My wife said to me as I came out the front door tonight, only on the telly. And yes, it is, darling, it is on the telly. But I'm going to go there. I'm going to go through the rain, across the London traffic, hour and a bit's journey for just a few miles worth, to be here for you, dear listeners. I do this for you, don't I? Hardcore evening tonight here. Anyone that's turned out tonight for this, well done. Really not been given much incentive to come down here, have we? But here we are, nevertheless. It is for the hardcore. You're hardcore Millwall for listening to this show, dear listeners. So I want to say my thanks to you, wherever you are, around the world, around the globe. Tonight's team news. Bart in goal, backline, Murray Wallace, Jake Cooper, Ryan Leonard. On the wing-backs, Norton Cuffey, I thought he did well. Saturday, I like him. Sunday, Ryan Longman, I thought he looked good. Change in midfield, no Billy Mitch. Zian Fleming returns. I don't think a three, I'm going to guess, with Alan Campbell, who looked off it for me. But anyway, on Sunday. And Casper Denor up front. But woefully misused Kevin Nisbet and woefully misused Tom Bradshaw, our two strikers. So anyway, there we are. Gary Rowett rolls the dice. My gosh, dear listeners, does he need a win tonight? Or like the alcoholic trying to get into the pub, he needs a win that badly. Lions come in tonight's match in 18th position in the championships, looking downwards. Got to be honest, played 6-1-2, drawn 1 after Sunday. We've lost 4 goals, 8 goals conceded, 7 points just. As against Rotherham, sitting in 21st position. So they're below us, just one place above the bottom 3. They've got 1 win, drawn 1, lost 4, 4-7. And against 13, we're looking for goals tonight. This is a must-win game. As Spiritual Garza put it, I like Spiritual Garza on X. He says Tom Bradshaw, 16 goals, 6th top scorer last season. Zian Fleming, 15, 7th top scorer plus highest scoring midfielder at Millwall. Kevin Nisbet with 12 from 18. Millwall just scored 4 goals from 7 games with those ingredients. It's like we've gone to Le Gavroche. Got the finest ingredients, and I'm trying to put together a very basic fry-up, isn't it? Sense of Doubt, I've written on my notes here. I think that was a David Bowie track, wasn't it? Off of Hero's Sense of Doubt. Very ominous 3-note piano piece. I think I'm thinking of Gary Rowett because he needs a win. Otherwise, I think the atmosphere might turn against him. Game is underway, by the way, dear listeners, whilst I waffle on. I don't think we're going to have any excuses out of tonight. What do you think, dear listeners? Can you think in advance of any excuses up against a newly promoted League One side with a defensive record that is begging questions. I think we've got to get some goals tonight. There's no clock showing on the scoreboard. I'm going to try and work from my gazelle. We're probably about 1 minute in, listeners. I'm going to try and judge it as best I can, so forgive me if I get any stats wrong in the cold light days. In-swinger from Ryan Longman there. Headed away for a Millwall throw-in. A Zian long throw now, dear listeners. Dropped, of course, versus Leeds, controversially. I don't know. I think I agreed with that decision. I didn't agree with the performance that we all saw there. So nod back in from Zian. That's going to go for a goal kick. A minute-ish into the game. 2 minutes in. There is a clock, but it's not in its usual position in the top right-hand corner. Doesn't help me where I sit, but still. Who am I? At least the bird shit's been cleaned off. I've got to be grateful for some small mercies in this life, dear listeners. All I've got to moan about is the position of the countdown clock. Yeah, wild and windy and wet out there in the streets of Bermondsey. The only thing missing is Spring-Heeled Jack, dear listeners. The mythical beast of Bermondsey. Spring-Heeled Jack. It's the only thing I didn't see tonight on the way down there. Little ball over the top for Kevin Nisbet to chase after. The Rotherham defender is with him. Puts it into touch. Another throw-in. They have Fred Onyedinma in their squad. I don't see him in the Rotherham side. I don't think I see him. I hope he doesn't get beasted tonight. I've never had a problem with Fred. He wanted to go in the end because I think he knew his time was up. In comes the longish throw from Zian. Not a particularly long throw. That's hoofed clear by Rotherham. Millwall are attacking the away end in the first half, as per the dictums of the Venerable Bede, dear listeners. I didn't mention that. I'm getting a bit lax with my Venerable Bede references. I'm going to have to liven myself up. I think he's getting into the stadium so late. That's kipping me. Norton Cuffy, having developed a really good reputation, just overhit a ball in a manner that I might if I was out there. If I found myself by some weird, space-time slip and I found myself in a Millwall shirt out there, I found myself in a position where I might pass it forwards to my man on the wing, I would overhit it like Brooke Norton Cuffy just did there, listeners. We're in 6 minutes. That would be a strange twist of events, wouldn't it? Arguably, with a theory of multiple universes, there is such an event going on right now, somewhere in the billions of potential universes that exist out there. Nice work by Norton Cuffy, making up for the long ball he just overhit. That's Bradshaw on the right side. It's going to be a throw into Rotherham. That's a clipped off of Tom Bradshaw at the last there. Nice little flick header through from Kevin Nisbet. It falls to Zian. Nice bit of pace there. Maybe he's livened his world up a little bit there. He made a nice run through on the left side there. It's going to be another long throw. I think these are slightly wasteful and predictable. Zian doesn't have a terribly long throw. I don't know why we don't give it to Ryan Leonard in this situation. This is Ryan Longman anyway. Ball in from the left. That's a dangerous looking cross. That's headed away at the near post for a left-sided corner, dear listeners. So we've just gone past 7 minutes-ish. Is that Fred, 14? This player getting a few boos down. I wonder if that is Fred. Can't see from this distance, dear listeners. He's got a shaggier hairstyle, so that may be what's confusing me. I'm easily confused at this stage of life. Bright start by the Lions. Ticking towards 10 minutes, according to my Bazell. Nice work, Norton Cuffy. He's a lovely player, I think. That's going to go for a right side corner. Millwall. Longman to take the right side corner. It's a deep one. It's towards Jake, pulling backwards on the edge of the penalty area. It's in the air, still in the air. The Rotherham player didn't quite get hold of that. It's headed downwards by Zian, but into no danger, unfortunately. Rain pouring down incessantly out there, listeners. Little tuck inside. This is Campbell. Tried to find Zian Fleming on the inside, on the right side of the penalty area there. It's been all Millwall so far, dear listeners. Tell me if you've heard this song before, but no result so far, no goal yet. My question to myself for my little spark notes that I do. You might not believe it, but I do some prep for these shows. My question to myself, maybe to you too, is can Gary Rowett afford many more poor results, especially at the Den? Just 5 wins at home, dear listeners, at Millwall, at Zampa Road since January 2023, in 16 matches in all comps. I counted just 5 wins since January. That's not acceptable. So the answer to my question is no, he can't afford many more of these. Many more. Nice little 1-2. Murray Wallace now on the left side of the penalty area. He's got some space. Campbell. Norton Cuffy now on the right side. Gets a chance to put the ball into the danger zone. That's cleared At the far post there. I think that is Fred. I think it says on your dimmer, number 14. Yes, I think he is out there, listeners. You'll know the answer to that question by the time you hear the show. I don't know why I'm getting obsessed with it. A strange obsession. Who did that? A strange obsession. It was an 80s new romantic song, I remember. Long ball in. Falls to Campbell now on the right side. Takes on Fred. It's gone for a goal kick. Jill Saville warm up. No place for Jill Saville. Billy Mitchell, of course, dropped tonight. Having a little laugh with the crowd there. And George just saying he's going to come back after time, sign someone's shirt or something down there. Nice touch. Proper Millwall player, Jill Saville. I like George. Speaking to the Southwark News, Gary Rowett said that our plan today in this game is to go and build on some of the things we did well against Leeds. I suppose we raised a bit of bluster. We had two. We had some early chances, and then we had one great chance for Tom Bradshaw at the start of the second half, didn't we? He wants to build on some of the things that we did so well, that we've done so well so far this season, to get a little bit more consistency, a little bit more solidity, and when we're attacking and when we're defending. So that's basically everything. This was the line that intrigued me. Gary Rowett felt against Leeds there was a little bit of swing in the game. I take it he's not talking about the jazz style. I suppose that was end-to-end his meaning. Odd turn of phrase he's got sometimes. It's gone for a goal kick incidentally whilst I'm speculating what he might mean. In 16 minutes. Rotherham will turn up, he says. Yes, they have indeed. They're out there. This is easy. I'm being unfair and I'm just pulling to pieces what he said. I'll stop it. Apparently we've won 3 of our last 4 games against Rotherham, including one of those 5 wins this year, which was a 3-0 win on New Year's Day. It seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? Back in January. Millwall pressing forwards now, 18 minutes into the game. No clear-cut chances, a lot of possession for us, a lot of busyness. Nothing clear-cut so far. Long ball forwards for Kevin Nisbet to chase down. He liked that, I don't like it. He's not a target man and he's being given long balls to run onto, which are invariably overhit. We've seen a lot of that this season. It's one of the criticisms I make of Gary Rowett. If we're going to play a long ball style, fine. I'm the last man on earth to criticise a long ball style. But pick players, pick some lumps up front. Someone that can, a Fashanu clone or something, to get on the end of it. There's a ball forwards there. Tom Bradshaw chased down. It falls to Kevin Nisbet. This is Tom Bradshaw and Alan Campbell on the right side. Ball into the box. Headed clear by the 27. Norton Cuffey. Ball floats through. Bouncing around in the danger zone. Rotherham failed to get it clear. There's a shot from the edge of the penalty by volley by Zian Fleming. It was wide. It drifted wide. Nice effort. Probably Millwall's best opportunity of sorts. Probably half an opportunity, really. 20 minutes into the game. So, yeah. Well, I don't know watch it on the telly, Mrs. Hart said. With it pissing down with rain outside. I must admit, it was a tempting prospect. Something in me said, no, you're going to the game tonight. What strange compulsion it is, really. Following a football club is a strange beast, isn't it? If you analyse it too much, it falls apart. It's like trying to define jazz or something, isn't it? It's kind of like indefinable as to why you do it. Ticking just past 21 minutes, halfway through the first half. Millwall on the attack. It's been almost entirely Millwall possession. That shot wide by Zian just a few moments ago, being our only real chance so far. He drifts past his man. It's got to be a free kick. It is. Free kick Millwall. Around slating now. We should set up an unofficial, like a Millwall old boys. Like they have that in rugby union. Like old boys of somewhere, some school. It could be a Millwall old boys. Ball into the box, headed downwards. Offside. Anyway, goalkeeper took on the line. It was Jake with a header downwards. What they say about jazz, if you've got to explain it, you ain't going to understand the answer. I think that's probably where I'm standing on football support, dear listeners. Anyway, ball breaks. This is Nisbet combining with Tom Bradshaw. He blasts into the air. Can he get a shot just over the bar? Edge of the penalty area. Best move of the match by Millwall. Probably shot a little bit too far out for comfort. It was probably about a yard over the right side corner of the goal there. 25 minutes. Nice ball inside. Finds Alan Campbell. Brooke Norton Cuffey. Overcooks it to Campbell. He does well to pick it up there. Nice play. Longman now on the left. Jinks forward, has a shot. 1-0 Millwall, beautiful goal. Ryan Longman, edge of the penalty area. Fantastic strike, 26 minutes. Millwall lead it, 1-0. Beautiful goal. Early contender goal of the season, given time and space to get the shot away, in fairness, but he did well to get it on target. Top right-hand corner. First goal for the club, Ryan Longman, nicely done. That's a burden taken off the collective shoulders of the Den, dear listeners. Off of my shoulders. It gives you the right hump when you get beat, like we did against Leeds. Messes with your weekend, but that's much better. Nice finish. I was thinking, I've been to both of the incarnations of Rotherham's grounds. Years ago, late 70s, went up to an FA Cup tie up there, 1-1 draw at Millwall, which I believe is their old stadium, but I believe it still exists. I think it's still intact. I don't know if they use it for reserve football or what it's used for, but I don't think it's been demolished. A very old-fashioned, old-school, terraced, seated on one side football ground. And I do remember we were 1-0 down till very late. I think Barry Kitchener got a very, very late equaliser, and that would have been around 77, 78, because I was working, had the money to go away. I think we won the replay, if memory serves. I'd have to check that bit, but I do remember travelling away to Rotherham. I think it might have been a football special. I don't remember changing it. It might have been a direct train to Rotherham. Mill spreading the play whilst I reminisce. This is Norton Cuffey on the right side. He's jinked his way into the penalty area. Backwards and forwards. It's lofted into the air. It took a deflection there. Unfortunately, it falls to Zian. Longman. This is Denor. We're going backwards slightly, but we do keep possession. So yeah, Millwall, late 70s, and then more recently went up to their new stadium, the New York Stadium, glorious name for a football ground, which is not a bad stadium, but it looks for all the world like an alien spacecraft has landed in the midst of a post-industrial dystopian wasteland. Nice stadium, though. The New York Stadium, but I always feel it should be hosting the Brooklyn Dodgers or New York Gothams or something, not Rotherham United, a name like that. I remember going up there, and we changed at Sheffield, and we had like a one-horse type shuttle train that took us from Sheffield into Rotherham, which the only thing was missing was like they have in the old westerns, we have two guys pushing a lever up and down to make it go forwards. That was about the only thing that was missing from this rickety old carriage. Here's Mill on the break though. 31 minutes, Morton Cuffey on the right, ball into the box, almost fell into the path of Tom Bradshaw. Rotherham do bring away though. 32-ish minutes. Murray fires it into his countryman Nisbet, spreads it wide to his another. That's the most Scots we've had in the team for a long while now. Alan Campbell, Nisbet and Murray. Good to see it. Ball in. There's the instinctive header by Tom Bradshaw. So downwards, no power, the goalkeeper, but nice move. Yeah, that's got to be the most Scots that we've had in a Millwall side in a long time. When did we last have 3 Scotsmen in our team, dear listeners? I can't think off the top of my head. Maybe in the late 90s when we had Jimmy Nicholl and he brought the likes of Davy Sinclair. Who can remember Davy Sinclair with his tattooed teeth? Ball breaks. This is Ian Fleming now. Little chipped ball into the box. There's a head down from Nisbet. It's Tom Bradshaw. Falls to Denor. Tried to blast it hard. He's been well tackled there by the Rotherham player. Looks like he's hobbled away from that. Looks like he's all right. Steve Crawford, Davy Sinclair, players of that ilk. Perhaps, I don't know. We're talking about that kind of late 90s era in that case, aren't we? Nice ball down the left channel to Zian Fleming from Ryan Longman. Zian takes his man on him, don't quite beat him. Gets a good cross in there. There's a nice snap header by Kevin Nisbet. Goalkeeper got down for it, unfortunately, but it's a nice move. Good. Zian playing slightly left of centre tonight. He looks more effective for it. He's taking men on, beating them. There's the Zian song. So it's a better evening for Zian Fleming. Ticking towards 41 minutes, I'd say. Second goal would give us a measure of comfort in this game. I mean, Rotherham have shown nothing, but that's I'm always wary of saying that because they're the kind of scuffling side. They've not looked up so much, but it's the kind of team that might scuffle an equaliser at some point. This is Ryan Longman, the crowd urging him to shoot every time he gets the ball. That's a great shot by Casper Denor. Down low and hard. blocked by the goalkeeper on the line. There's the half-time whistle. Pretty routine workout for Mill so far, which is most welcome. Mill leading it by that excellent goal, excellent hit by Ryan Longman. Rotherham shown nothing throughout the whole half. Mill had plenty of possession and will, as I think Gary Rowett said, were probably coming in, unusually perhaps, thinking that they should be further ahead. But as it is, very, very welcome 1-0 lead at the half-time. Millwall 1, Rotherham United 0 half-time.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back to the den, dear listeners. The wind whistling around the den, the flags fluttering across on the roof of the Docker stand. The Millwall side are certainly out for the second half, just waiting for the entrance of Rotherham. Pretty decent half, really is welcome. As I said at the end of the first period, I thought it was routine, if anything, from the Lions' point of view, but we've still got to be wary of Rotherham. They've not shown anything at all going forwards, but how many times have we skidded along the metaphorical banana skin in our time as Lions fans, dear listeners? We don't want to skid this tonight, that's for sure. Lions will be kicking off second half, attacking the Cold Blow Lane end, as per the dictums of the Venerable Bede, writing in 9th century Jarrow Monastery, dear listeners. The Lindisfarne Chronicles. He stuck all that in there. He said in the second half, Mill must always be attacking the Cold Blow Lane end. Den looks about half full tonight, listeners. I don't know what the official crowd will be when it's published. In reality, it looks like it's about half. I think a lot of people just couldn't be bothered tonight, and I don't blame them. I could barely be bothered, as I've said already in this show. But here I am. Glad I come out, but I wouldn't hold it against anyone who had a ticket and thought I just can't be arsed with that tonight. Big shout out to Doug in Sweden, who messaged me at half time on WhatsApp. Obviously pleased, like we all are, to be leading. It's not the end of the story yet, but we are leading at half time. He's asking the question as to whether we're any better or not. Or these are very poor opponents, have been poor so far. Are we any better, or are we just playing against poor opponents? This is a chance. Here's the 18th. This is Fred on your Dinmar. Oh, we got the goal in, ball in the net now. Offside though. Pressing further forwards in the second half, as they must, because they showed nothing in the first half. They've looked a bit brighter, a goal behind, and that was unlucky. I think they're giving us offside there against Fred. 48 minutes or so. Had a conversation with an alternative podcast provider, dear listeners, the other day. I'm with Acast, have been for some years now. I find them okay, to be honest. But it was, I don't know if it was headhunted, but you get approaches every now and again from alternative podcast platforms. Won't name them. The chat was very pleasant. I did a Zoom call with him. Looking at basically the sales pitch was that we can get more money out of the advertising for the podcast, and the way that you do that is you basically cram in more adverts. Advert breaks every 20 minutes. In the end, I declined the offer because I don't want to load this show up with loads of adverts. You have to have some, obviously, at the start of the show. And I get the choice of to place an advert break halfway through the show or not, which I tend to do for the long hour-long ones. I normally put an advert break somewhere around the halfway point. It's my choice. The two at the start, I think they stick some on the end. I don't know who listens to the end of the podcast to hear the adverts, but certainly the two at the start you can't really avoid, and I don't have any control as to who advertises on there. That's all Acast business. But the approach was you can make more money out of the podcast, which we give away, as you know, as a listener, we give it away. Having weighed it all up, I declined it because this is fundamentally a hobby for me, and it's quite pleasant to make a few quid, not a fortune. So I'm not moving out to the British Virgin Islands on the strength of it, but you get enough to, well, the donations, you see how much we donate to the food hub. It's about 100 quid or so every month normally. So that's with the advertising we've got at the moment. That's enough for me. I'm not here to try and get more out of it, screw more money out of it. I had to laugh though at one point because I did this Zoom call with this young 20-something, very pleasant boy. But he said, I suppose there are standard questions, interview style questions when he's talking, but what are my ambitions for the podcast? And I must admit it took me aback a little bit, listeners, because I said I don't actually have any. What's his name? It wasn't Joe, I'm not going to call him Joe. I said I don't have any, Joe. It's just to carry on doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to aim to be some kind of YouTube name. I do what I do, and as long as people want to listen to that and if they enjoy it, also being sensible, for as long as I think I can still do it and do it justice. So I've got some substitutions coming whilst I pour my heart out to your listeners. It's like what more's going to coming in for Nisbet. One substitute, one more from Nisbet, ticking towards 55 minutes. So there it is. It's all going to stay. I'm going nowhere. It's a bit like the speech in the Wolf of Wall Street. I ain't going nowhere. Not that it made any difference to you as a listener. You've had more adverts which you might have rebelled against and slung me in for an alternative podcast. I don't know. This is Watmore on the left. Looking to break into the box. His ball into the near post. It almost fell to Tom Bradshaw. This is Zian Fleming, 2-0. Fired in from the left side of the penalty area. Along the daisy cutter, along the deck. Into the bottom right-hand corner. Zian Fleming, dear listeners. 57 minutes. Mill lead it 2-0. We've got that cushion. We've got that little bit of nice comfy cushion that I wanted. Nice finish, Zian Fleming. Ball in from the left side. Nice run by Duncan Watmore. Ball zigged back across the face of the goal. It falls into the path of Zian Fleming, who slams it home with aplomb. Right, bottom right corner. 2-0. I do hope we've got top-level British Museum level security on Ryan Leonard. This is a fragile Ming vase at the best of times, and the British Museum's security is famed around the world, isn't it? That's the level we need to put Ryan Leonard into. It's 63 minutes or so into the game. Ball's into the box. That's short, unfortunately. Our crossing hasn't been terribly dangerous, listeners, in my opinion, my humble opinion. That is an area that Gary Rowett needs to work on, I think. This is Norton Cuffy taking his man on. It's loose ball. Assessment of Norton Cuffy. I like him. Certainly good at our level. Is he Premier League level, if I was Arsenal? I can see what they've loaned him out. He looks good in moments, but then does something very, very silly. Like there, just gave the ball away for no, unforced error. So I can see why they put him on loan. I think he was at Coventry last season. He's with us this season. I get that. Whether that can be eradicated from his game or not, I don't know. But it will certainly be a flaw at Arsenal's level, I would think. This is a free kick for Rotherham. About halfway inside a half, just right of centre. In it comes. Deep one. It's headed wide by Fred. Another wild choice of overhead kick by Norton. It works its way through to Bart, but there was an aimless overhead kick backwards towards our own goal, which could have released Rotherham. So no, my point earlier on stands. I think he's a talented boy. I think he's got pace, creativity. Some of his decision making, I think, would be of concern to Arsenal. Maybe they're hoping that's what he works on during this, spell in the Championship with us and previously with Coventry. I was reading Tony Monday, an arch critic of Billy Mitchell, when I was half-time looking through Twitter, and I can't remember how he put it, but he was pleased that Billy's been dropped and that we should see a more logical goal. I think that's the thing I would say to anyone that hasn't seen tonight's proceedings. We do look a bit more coherent. It does look a bit more logical, that word again. And so far, against poor opponents, it's got to be said, there's a ball from the corner into the far post. We can just stay with this. This is Denor. This is Fleming, right side, out to Watmore. Denor. It's going to go for a right-sided corner. 2-0 up. What are we on now? We're on 68 minutes or so. Looking good. In truth, Rotherham haven't presented any real opposition. That's the only caveat that I would stick into my assessment so far, Your Honour. And then Enhart, KC. 2 more Mill substitution. Longman's coming out. So Joe Bryan's coming in. And Jules Saville coming in. Standing applause for Ryan Longman, dear listeners. I believe tonight's game is going out on Millwall TV for sure. It's a sort of stream. And also on the red button for Sky Television. I think it's the red button game. Report I saw earlier on, I think the Daily Telegraph was reporting a proposal that Sky want to up their Premier League coverage by claiming a 6:30 Sunday night slot. I suppose that gives you Super Sunday, doesn't it, with a 2 o'clock, 4:30 and then 6:30 game. because you don't get enough Premier League football as it is, dear listeners. I must admit, I couldn't be arsed watching any of the Champions League coverage last night. There was a whole. I wonder why I'm paying for half of this stuff. Actually, I'm going to have a review of my finances because I'm paying for channels that I'm just not following, not interested. As for the 6:30, well, of course, the good old travelling public, the legacy fans that actually do go and watch matches are the least of anyone's concerns. I think I saw the FSA, the Supporters Associations, Football Supporters Association, have condemned it. Any right-minded football fan should condemn it. Whether that's going to stop it or not is another matter. I dare say the 3 o'clock kickoff ruling, no live football at 3 o'clock, will be the next to go. That's begging for it as well, isn't it? Good break forward, Ryan Leonard, 76 minutes on a surging run. He's put him across the box there, and Brian couldn't quite catch hold of it. Put it wide. Good run by Ryan Leonard. Does these surging midfield runs, really powerful on the ball. Great to see it. Good applause for him. Got the crowd fired up there, but couldn't quite get the crossing. He was tackled at last, and Brian couldn't get any purchase on the ball when it came to him. That's about 76 minutes into the second half. Bloke just left the West Upper. Made a flamboyant show of applauding the travelling Rotherham support. I can't believe there's many. I can't see them. But I always find it fascinating, the kind of lone gesture made across the vast expanse of a football stadium. Unless you have the attention of one individual over there who sees it, and it's like a lonely gesture of there's a ball forward before I waffle on to Zian Fleming on the left side. He backheels it, unfortunately, to a red shirt. 5 minutes left in the game, 85 minutes. Yeah, there's something kind of noble and lonely about the single wanker sign being directed at a sea of faces. I don't know if there's met many Rotherham fans down here tonight. I wouldn't have thought a few hundred at most. Unless there's any expatriates, a diaspora, the Rotherham diaspora in London. But there's something kind of noble about the single applause. Was that, I don't know, what that was like an acknowledgement of the travelling support, or was it a sarcasm? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. This is Millwall in possession over on the left side. We've spread the play quite nicely. Whether our opponents have been poor, whether we've been good is a moot point. I'll take this as a much needed shot in the arm, though. A dose of Andrew's liver salts in a season where you've been a bit, bunged up, if you understand my references. I think you do. Every time I go to say Joe Bryan, I think of there was a flamboyant New York disco, it may well have been gay disco artist of the early 70s called Joe Bryant. And every time I say Joe Bryan, the image of Joe Bryant leaps into my head. 6 minutes of added time, dear listeners. Denor's done well. I think I'm going to make Denor my man of the match, dear listeners. I mean, there's still 6 minutes to go. I'm going to hold back on that. But certainly, based on the overall performance, I think we've looked a lot more coherent in midfield tonight. Denor's done very, very well. We've moved the ball quickly, and he's been in the key man in that change. So yes, Rotherham haven't been great, but you can only beat who's in front of you, as the saying goes. And we've done well tonight. This is Duncan Watmore on the break, running into space, acres of space, literally. He checks. Unfortunately, there's no one in the middle. He didn't have much to aim at there. The crowd gave him a little bit of shtick. He goes down on the corner flag. Going to be a Millwall free kick over by the right side corner flag. He checked his run there somewhat, dear listeners. I think primarily because there was nothing obvious in the middle to aim at, but also I think the crowd wanted to see a third goal. The fickle entertainment addicts that they are. Give me a chance to put the ball into the danger zone. It's almost a corner by any other name. Floated deep over the heads of everybody. It falls to Zian on the left corner of the penalty area. A little bit of 1-2 with Joe Bryan. Will he have a shot? He will. It's blocked. It falls to Tom Bradshaw. 3-0 Millwall. Shot blocked, falls into the path of Tom Bradshaw. Finishes with authority, dear listeners. I think he might have used the old outside of the boot there. 3-0. Let's have a look at that again. I've shuffled over so I can see the replay. Rain pouring down out there. Checked in, shot blocked. Falls to Tom Bradshaw, who puts it into the top left-hand corner with authority. It's nice to see 3 goals going in, listeners. I think the last time we got 3 was against Sheffield United, which was that in February? We've certainly looked a lot better in this game, and this gives us a nice buzz to be going up to the Hawthorns on Saturday. Well, give us a wave. I think it's a wary relationship on both sides, listeners. It's the kind of thing that dear Deirdre might deal with in the sun. Dear Deirdre, my partner blows hot and cold. Kowski, there's the full-time whistle. Good result, Millwall. It finishes Millwall 3, Rotherham United 0. Deserved 3-0 winners by some distance. Rotherham showed us really very little in the first half, very little in the second half. And the Lions did what they needed to do. A welcome relief. A man of the match, I'm going to go with Casper Danor. I think I mentioned him already. Otherwise, good team performance across the board. And I do feel a lot more relieved, dear listeners. And we'll be back very, very shortly after these messages.
Achtung, Millwall.
A beautiful sunny morning, dear listeners, after the tempest of the night before. Joining me to chew over the cud of that routine win last night is Mr. Neil Fissler. How are you doing, Neil?
Not too bad, Nick. Not too bad indeed.
I've seen that described, that 3-0 win last night, as a regulation win, Neil. I think it was. I mean, I'd have been very worried if we couldn't get past Rotherham. We looked very poor last night, I thought.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be too many worse teams in this league this season. In fact, I looked at the table yesterday for the first time in a couple of weeks to see where everybody was, and I cannot believe that Middlesbrough and Swansea are actually below them in the table. They were absolutely rank, weren't they? They were, they're unspeakably awful.
Well, already I'm just looking at the table, as you mentioned it, Rotherham 21st after that 3-0 beating last night. But you're right, look at the clubs below them. I mean, I would be deeply worried if I was Middlesbrough, Sheffield Wednesday, another huge club, and Swansea. They've played at a higher level in their time. But to be already 3 points adrift in that bottom 3 section would be worrying. But the cliche has it, you can only beat the team that takes the field in front of you. And we did that well enough, I thought, last night. I thought it was actually a reasonably refreshing performance, albeit with a caveat they weren't up to much. But I actually enjoyed my night going down a den, even in those conditions, Neil.
Yeah, but I think your first point's quite right, that if we hadn't have won, we'd have had to battle questions as to why we didn't win. But horrible night. Leeds defeat 3-4 days before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just May. Yeah, Rotherham have won, 9 games in 9?
They've got an awful record, haven't they? I can't remember the stats, but they haven't won in a long while.
It had all the makings when they said on Millwall TV, when they gave those stats, your heart dropped. Oh no, it can't be. But to be fair, it was a workmanlike performance. We created a fair few chances.
Yep.
We didn't take them. I think Nisbet, how in the hell he missed that free header from about 5 yards is beyond me.
Yeah.
But I actually thought that we left goals out there. Yeah, but if I'm totally honest, I'd quite like to have seen the Irish lad and Eze.
Imaku, yeah. No, I agree. I would have whether he's resting them for some reason, I don't know. I mean, it was unfortunately Nisbet left the field in the 55th minute. Yeah, 55 last night. Apparently injured. So I haven't seen any news on that yet, Neil. But that's one more to add to the butcher's bill at Calmont Road. I mean, he came to us with a track record of injury of his knee. Let's hope he can get back in action. I like him. I agree about the missed chance. I don't also include Zian Fleming. He had pretty much a free header and put it wide when you'd have expected him to hit the target in the first half. But the match stats probably tell that story. 20 shots, 8 shots on target. Yes, 3 goals, but you would have looked for a bit more out of the evening, really, given the paltry opponents that were up against. They did look poor, didn't they?
Yeah, they were awful, and it says something when I think that Fred on the Dimber looked like their best player, to be honest, for long periods, didn't he? And I will confess that when he curled that shot in,
Yeah.
I was so relieved to see that Lino's flag go up, because I think I'd posted on Hoff about 30 seconds before how does Fred get away with Robin.
Get a living in football.
And then he curled.
Offside, apparently. I watched it this morning on the highlights reel that the club have put out. It was a very close call. I mean, it probably was just offside, but I've seen those.
Offside, yeah, I think he was offside. I think he was in front of Jake Cooper. I think it was. I think it was quite safe to say that he was offside, but Christ almighty, it was a good finish.
Good finish, yeah. He was playing, without it being the Fred show, he was playing in a bizarre kind of more defensive role at times in the first half, and I don't know if the Rotherham manager is some kind of football visionary, but I've never seen Fred playing too that deep before. But anyway, maybe he's developed that part of his game. I don't know. We've praised Millwall. We're going to praise them in a moment, but I just want to mention, Neil, actually, that the disallowed goal was a good lead-in tackle. I just still think we're a little bit fragile defensively when teams pass and move fast. I mean, we didn't see an awful lot of that from Rotherham. We saw a lot of it from Leeds on Sunday, with a different level of side, but we still look a bit fragile defensively, which we're by no means so bad, I believe, that we should struggle in the division. But I don't think, unless that's solved at some stage, I don't see us progressing particularly easily either, because I think good teams will beat us or score goals against us, shall we say.
Yeah, I think that Leeds, Norwich, another team that looked pretty good against us at times, didn't they?
They did.
From what I can remember.
Yeah.
I don't like 3 central defenders. Hand up. I think it creates too many gaps for people to run into.
Yeah.
And playing with 2 wing backs who I thought got caught upfield too often against Leeds. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought last night was, I can see where you're coming from. And all of a sudden, Bart seems to give everybody the heebie-jeebies, doesn't he?
He did a good save.
Yeah.
He saved one. I think the Rotherham forward, was that in the second half? I think it was. The Rotherham forward caught onto a ball over the top and got in front of our defence, which again is just to hammer my point, really. But he got down nicely for that, and that was probably about the only time really he was called into action, other than to pick the ball out when Fred put it in the net. But
what I will say about the defence, Nick, is doesn't Ryan Leonard look good?
Does look very good. Very good indeed.
Absolutely superb again last night. And Ryan Longman.
Yeah.
He looks... well, we can debate whether or not a wing-back's a defender or not, but he had a fantastic game, and so did Norton Cuffey on the other side, for me.
Yeah, I agree.
But I actually think that Ryan Leonard is looking the business. If we can keep him fit...
Yep.
Yeah, well, maybe we should stop talking about his fitness problems.
Don't even mention it again, Neil. We shan't talk about it, because I'm with you 100%.
But let's send him a bit of good juju.
He made a fantastic run. It was in the second half, a real surging, old school midfielder, box to box midfielder run forwards, and it's the most exhilarating thing when you see him getting forward like that. But I think you're right. We probably shouldn't talk about him anymore, listeners, because we don't want to put the hex on him. Longman, I like Longman. He showed a bit of flair and pizzazz, something we haven't seen for quite a while, really. I mean, we see it occasionally when Romanese comes into the side, but Longman looks like a good player. It fascinates me the different games that people see, Neil, because on Sunday, I saw some criticisms of Longman online, and people saying, "No, he's no good," and all sorts of stuff. And it wasn't the same. I mean, I thought he was one of our better players in a poor result on Sunday, but last night I thought he really looked the part and a great strike for the opening goal. He was given loads of space, in fairness, but you've still got to put it in the net, and he did. I like him.
To be honest, I don't know where the criticism of him on Sunday came from. He was one of the few plus points out of that game.
Thought so. Yeah.
And I do wonder who in the hell have Hull got playing there if they've allowed him to join up? Yeah, because
there must be a wash with talent, mustn't there?
Yeah, because so far he looks like he's going to be a very, very good signing. Hopefully, we've got some kind of clause at a reasonable price. Because so far, I'd quite like him to kick on, and I think he could be a very good player for us. But going back to the criticism, yeah, but let's face it, Haaland could play for us, and he'd miss the sitter in the first 5 minutes and would be written off as being shit, wouldn't he? Let's face it. That is Millwall way. You have to accept, especially in the modern age.
Instant judgment.
Yeah, basically. And but I don't know. There was a very good debate on Hoff this morning about the sudden entitlement of Millwall fans.
Okay.
Rowett. Yeah, Rowett's obviously led us to 3, 4 top 10 finishes.
Consistently, we've finished top. I think the 11th was our lowest finish. Other than that, is 8th. And I think a 9th. But anyway, you know what I mean. We're in the top 10. We expect to be in top 10 now.
Yeah. And are we? And the criticism of him, my criticism, I don't think he's a crap manager, to be honest. And I know that we had a back and forth on Sunday. About is he the right man for the job? My main criticism of him is the football's fucking boring.
Well, I'd say the same.
Football is awful. I can accept winning. Yeah, well, obviously you accept winning, but I can accept losing. Yeah. And that's part and parcel of football. But what I can't take is poor football. We're in an entertainment industry.
Agree.
Like it or not. But last night, let's not go down that route, otherwise it's a rabbit hole that we'll probably never get out of. But
no, I mean, he produced a performance. His team produced a performance for him last night.
And that's very noticeable about Gary Rowett at Millwall, yeah? Whenever his back is against the wall, after a couple of poor results, and the social media amplification is we've got to get rid of him. He's a dead man walking. Worst manager we've had in 30 years, etc., etc., etc. It's probably helped by the fact that we played Rotherham last night. But they go out and they can produce a decent performance. And last night we saw that. We saw a decent performance. I'll go back to my original point. I think we left some goals out there. Yeah, but I was going to call him Eskenazi for a minute. I'm thinking of the Middlesex cricketer. And I say I would love to have seen them just given a little run. Give them 45 minutes. Give them half an hour, give them 40 minutes.
To get amongst it, yeah.
Because it was the type of game where they could have gone out in god-awful conditions and really, really impressed, in my view.
built some confidence. He was talking. Rowett was talking about building confidence, and I agree. I agree with you. It'd have been nice to have seen him or SA at some stage last night. Maybe we'll see him Saturday at West Bromwich Albion. I just want to mention Casper De Norre, Neil, as well.
What
Who I
a
thought
signing!
what a signing, what a player. I mean, no Billy Mitchell last night. Largely no George Saville. He came in late in the game, but the starting 11 featured Casper De Norre in the kind of, what would you call it, a holding position, I suppose is the term. But I thought he looked really, really intelligent, really strong on the ball. And I think Gary Rowett said in his post-match interview he's going to be a good signing, and I agree with him. He looks a good player.
Oh, mate, he looks. Yeah, well, we say that Longman looks the business. This guy looks at another level.
Yeah, I agree.
As for somebody that you almost scoffed at, Christ Almighty, what we're signing him for, because nobody had heard of him. He's come in and he started off fantastically, got injured, and it's like he's never been away. It's like he doesn't need a couple of games to find his feet again. I don't think he'll be the superstar signing that maybe we thought Fleming was.
No.
But I think he's going to be a really, really good Millwall type of player.
An efficient player.
Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, Fleming, just as you mentioned his name there, I thought he looked far better last night. He was taking men on. He was trying to beat them. He looked happier. Maybe with the quality around him that he's got now, you can see good quality players across the midfield largely. The only one I might have any reservations, and we haven't really seen the best of him yet, is Alan Campbell. But, jury's out there. But otherwise, we've got a pretty good-looking, skillful midfield. And it seems to bring the best out of Zian last night. And it was great to see him score that goal. It was a nicely taken finish, actually, for the second goal that put the game, really to bed at that point. Once we went 2 ahead, I didn't think Rotherham were ever going to come back from that. So, he looked enlivened last night, Zian.
Yeah, I wonder if he's been cruising. It looks as if he's been cruising through games, and
maybe.
Yeah, but I don't know if the transfer talk Burnley turned his head in the summer. Maybe thought my one chance to play in the Premier League, but
yeah, he's a young bloke. I mean, my head was easily turned in those days, far away. So I'm sure his could be turned as well. The thought of the riches of the Premier League and stardom.
Been to Burnley because it's one of the biggest shitholes in the north of England.
That would hold me back. I must say.
Yeah,
but no, he looked enlivened last night. So it was good to see. Nicely taken goal.
I wonder how much being dropped on Sunday for a huge game. Leeds at home, massive game, full house, TV.
Sky TV, yeah.
I wonder how much that gave him a little bit of a kick up the arse. Because he hasn't looked... He was a total revelation when he first arrived last year.
Yes, he was.
The first half of last season, you thought, what in the earth have we signed here? And, I think we all got carried away. Well, yeah, but...
£30 million tags were being put on him, all sorts. I don't think it did him any harm, Neil. Yeah. I don't think it did him any harm to get dropped in a big game. It's high profile. Stars expect to take the field in those kind of situations, don't they? And perhaps Zian fell into the trap easy to fall into, listeners. We can all fall into it, of thinking he is the star and his place is assured. And I think maybe that wasn't a bad bit of psychology by Gary Rowett to stick him on the bench. Teach him a lesson, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, very, very good piece of man management, if that was the case, to show him that he isn't the Bertie Big Bollocks that he might think he is. Yeah, well, we could be wrong. Yeah, but everything I've seen about him, he looks like quite a grounded player.
He seems like a nice boy. I mean, I spoke to him only in the most brief to say hello to him when he first arrived last season. I did a pitch side thing with Aaron, and it was but he seemed a very decent young man, and everything I've seen about him reinforces that. But you don't know what kind of ruts professional sportsmen fall into, Neil. So it's possible. That said, if dropping him means we get stuffed 3-0 by a very good side, I'm praising Gary Rowett's psychology. Maybe the result might make me think twice. I don't know. Up front, it was good to see Tom Bradshaw get that late goal as well. That was a nice finish, and good to see him get on the score sheet. I like Tom Bradshaw.
Yeah,
Huge amount of energy.
yeah, Millwall type of player, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He runs his nuts off for 90 minutes if he's on the pitch for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
He'll miss. Yeah, but he'll miss a fair few. Sometimes you'll wonder, Christ almighty, what's he doing? But then he'll just charge around, and you give him the ball inside that 6-yard box or in and around that 6-yard box. He doesn't often miss.
No.
Does he?
And his willingness to run and run. It has a Jimmy Abdou quality. He will just keep going and going for 90 minutes. And that's very much the kind of player that Millwall need. I think he is a Millwall type player, very much so. And he's always got a smile on his face, Neil, as well. That's quite riff. He always seems to be a happy person, which I think can be infectious. My fingers are crossed for Kevin Nisbet, because I do think he's a great finisher. He's got to be given the right service, but leaving the field on 55 last night, we just have to kind of hope and pray that he's not badly injured out for some time. He has been plagued with injuries over his career, hasn't he?
Yeah, two thoughts. I was actually going to agree with you about Bradshaw and playing with a smile on his face, because I had the same thought when we started to talk about him. As for Rab, as he's been tagged,
Nisbet.
I think we all feared the worst when we saw him go down, because it was off the ball. I don't think there was a Rotherham player within 5
I don't remember seeing it. No.
But I think the good thing was that he got up and he walked off.
Yes.
He walked around the pitch. I don't know if he's tweaked something. I think if it was any serious damage, they certainly wouldn't let him walk around the pitch.
No, they carry him off, wouldn't they? Yeah,
because he went off halfway line, Docker's side.
Yeah,
and then walked all the way around. I'm hoping, amongst all hope, that it isn't serious. Is there enough of a turnaround before Saturday?
They might rest him for Saturday. I'm just going to come on to that with West Brom away. They drew 2 each at Watford last night, and they sit below us, I think, in the table. 15th to out now 11th. We've shot up following that win. So it's become a bit of a pantomime fixture, isn't it? West Brom away, Neil, with the Jed Wallace factor. I think it's going to be a tough. If we can get something out of that, then I really feel we will feel that we're set for, a decent level of season of some description, because I think that's another tough away fixture for us coming up Saturday.
Yeah, the Jed Wallace situation. Judas Jed. Yeah, but I do smile when I think of John and the other lads winding them up with Judas Jed. But yeah, no, you're right. But West Brom are a team that are almost as inconsistent as we are.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Yeah, were they 2-1 up last night and drew 2-2, or were they 2-0?
Maybe. Let's have a look.
So, yeah, well, I know that Jed scored.
He scored, yeah. Well, 2-0 up, weren't they? 2-0, 14 minutes and 17 minutes. Then Watford pulled back 23rd. No, it was 2-1. Sorry, you're right. I was misreading the 3 minutes. Watford went ahead. Then they've gone 2-1. Then they pulled it back to 2 each, and that's how it stayed. So, yeah, not unbeatable. I think is probably what I'd take away from that.
Yeah, I was listening to. I think it was White and Jordan on Talk Sport yesterday morning. They were talking about West Brom. They've got this Chinese owner who doesn't want to spend any money anymore. And they're in the deep financial mire. They're talking about they didn't sell enough players in the summer to to keep them going. They're talking about a fire sale in January.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was quite heartening to hear, actually, because you think this is a club that's in turmoil. Let's go up there and let's
get something.
Yeah, but let's get something out of the game. Then you have a look. Yeah, but then you're watching the Millwall game, and all of a sudden, you see they're 1-0 down, and you think, oh yeah, fantastic. Watford are going to spank them here. Then they go 2-1 up, and you hear Jed Wallace has scored the second goal. You think, oh no. Then it was 2-2. But I think what we've got to do is, I think this weekend we can't make Jed Wallace the pantomime villain.
No, I agree.
I think,
but this is a Millwall. I don't know how many we're taking up there. Probably take a fair few because of that factor. But I'm sure they will make him into the panto villain of the piece. But I do agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think for once we need to forget that we're football's policemen.
The conscience of football.
Yeah, the conscience of football. Yeah, and the conscience of a footballer who, for whatever reason, I still think he's strung us along, but let's not go down that road. But I think we just need to ignore him, to be quite honest, because he will feed off
the energy. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, he will feed off what's coming from us, and he will think, right, then I'm going to show you fuckers to a man how I can play football, and we all know that he's a good player.
He's a very good player. We'd have him back in a heartbeat, wouldn't we?
Yeah, when he wants to play, yeah. I know he's another Fleming. He can blow hot and cold, but he is a fantastic footballer. He carried us.
Yeah.
For
a few seasons. That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
2 or 3 seasons. So I think we've just got to go up there. And I think you're right. I did notice, what are we, 3-4 points out of the playoffs?
Opposition. And the relegation zone.
Yeah, and the relegation. But let's not go down there.
No, we're 2 points behind Hull in 6th spot at the moment. We're only 7 games.
We're not going to go down. Yeah, let's be honest.
We shouldn't. We should not. No, we should not. Not with the quality of the team that we have at the moment. And you can pick holes in certain areas, but with the quality we've got across the team, no, we should not be in any trouble whatsoever this season in the Championship, which is not a bad thing to be able to say, Neil. I mean, in our history shows, there have been many, many, many occasions across Mill history where we couldn't say that. So I think maybe some perspective at times is called for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you have to only look at our history. And actually, somebody made the point on Hoff this morning. Go back to Hoff. That somebody said that these entitled fans, seemingly entitled fans, that we would always have ripped for being more Charlton than Charlton.
Right, okay.
Which is actually true. Yeah, but let's be honest, we would have done, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
How would they ought to remember that whilst things are going good now, we're quite likely to get relegated in 2 or 3 years.
It's never off the agenda, is it? Relegation to League One again.
Back in League One for 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah. And
then we'll have a good season and we'll come back up again. So, mate.
No, they're right. That poster is right. I was going to say we could find ourselves playing Scunthorpe, but of course they were going out of business. So I suppose that's another side of the coin.
Yeah, but they were in Conference North. We'd have to be going some way.
Well, I mean, the same with Southend. What a scandal! But there we are. Yeah. That's a different subject.
I think that we're not going to go down. I think the worst we're going to finish. Probably.
Mid-table respectability might be a worst-case scenario. These may be famous last words, listeners. You might be able to quote this back at Neil and I at the end of the season. But no, based on the squad we've got at the moment, I would say mid-table respectability would be...
I look upon it. If you've got Plymouth Argyle and teams like that, we won't go down. But it all comes back to this... Have we been spoiled by Gary Rowett? And the amount of money we've spent this season. We've spent, what, 5 million quid? Yeah, but did I read?
Yeah, large sums by Millwall standards, small sums by Championship standards. So there's a
Yeah,
problem.
exactly. And there was still money left on the table because obviously we tried to sign a couple of people
Yeah,
on deadline day.
yeah.
And we came close. Christ, if we'd have got Kiefer Moore, I was ready to explode. I was seriously excited. And yeah, it takes a lot for me to, because I know football, I know sport, and
Cynical old hack, Neil. That's the thing. You've been
I
around the
deal
track.
with sport, and I know what goes into these things. But the prospect of Kiefer Moore on deadline evening, it was so.
It was genuinely exciting, briefly, but then it went away.
It was. So there is money there, and I think will strengthen in January. But I think anywhere inside the top 10, if we can squeak inside the top 6, because it's a stronger league than last year.
Well, that'll be a repeat of where Gary Rowett has got us to, really, in various versions of that top 10 outside shot at the number 6 spot. Really, that's where he's got us to. And if we finish up in that category again, he's done his job. You can't really argue with that.
Yeah, I just wish the football's a bit more entertaining at times.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
That is the only thing. Yeah, well, Gary, if you're listening to this, don't listen to any of us. Yeah, we're all so-called experts.
Huge thank you for joining me, Neil. Taking time out of your day, mate. I do appreciate it. Thank you to you too, dear listeners, for tuning into Achtung Millwall. We'll be back after the West Bromwich Albion game Saturday. I'm going to go up there for that one. So I will be back reporting back to you on Sunday at some stage. So from Neil and myself, it's good night from me.
It's good night from me.
Thank you for listening. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
Was that question too simple or what, dear listeners? Punditgames.co.uk question asked for the manager of the 1990 English national team, the 1990 World Cup. Plus he played in the 1958 World Cup as a player, ruled out the 62 World Cup. It was, of course, the late Sir Bobby Robson. Sir Bobby Robson took England to the 1990 World Cup Italia 90 semi-finals as manager. Great figure of the game. Check out this and more such questions at punditgames.co.uk. Get yourself a ball game for Christmas. It's tremendous fun, honestly. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. Arrivederci Millwall, and bye for now.